Fourtini.
Hello, welcome. I am so excited to be reconnecting with you, Sarah.
Likewise.
So happy to be here together. And thanks for joining us for this kind of impromptu follow up after your horse wisdom yoga certified teacher training. So I'm really excited to introduce you all to Sara. She's not only a phenomenal coach for women, but she is also on her way to becoming a horse wisdom yoga certified teacher. She's also obviously a yoga teacher and has a pretty profound toolbox of very intuitive gifts that she brings forward into the world. And I had the absolute honor and privilege of witnessing those gifts while she worked with our herd from New Zealand. So we are located in Ontario, Canada. Sara completed a 5-day horse wisdom yoga certified teacher training from New Zealand with our herd here, partnering with 2 herds in New Zealand. So it's quite an interesting story, which is why I really felt called to invite Sara back to talk a little bit about her experience. And a couple little things that I was really called to share is that so I mentioned Sara's in New Zealand. We did the training virtually, and it was really interesting how this all happened. And I'm sure more will unfold during our call. But we had very serendipitously had a virtual training in Newfoundland just a few weeks before Sara and I met in New Zealand. And it was all orchestrated, of course, by the Sacred Horse, who kind of put us in this situation in Newfoundland for me and my client out there who couldn't, for circumstances, couldn't make it out here for her scheduled time. So we thought, let's give it a try. And it was incredible. So when Sara and I connected, we were like, we can do this. And boy, did we ever. So, Sara, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell us more about you and your experience, and then we'll just see what unfolds from there.
Yeah, so as Fotini mentioned, I'm a coach, and I actually met Fotini in Canada around the time that I was considering quitting teaching. I was a teacher for 10 years. Met the herd, just loved it, but it wasn't the right time for me to do the work. So I left Canada in April, traveled the world a little bit, and settled now in New Zealand. And I just felt ready because my neighbor has a herd of horses. And when I met them, I was a little scared because they're so big. But the more I spent time with them, the more I felt that fear transmute into love and awe and wonder. And so much healing happened thanks to the time spent with them. So I reached out to Fotini and I said, I know I'm not in Canada, but is it possible to do this horse wisdom yoga training virtually? And as it happened, you had just finished, as you mentioned, with someone in Newfoundland. So you're like, yeah, Sara, I think that we can do this. And we did, and it was phenomenal. And so now, right, I partner with a herd just next door to me, which is so wonderful. I'm so grateful for that experience of having that closeness to a herd. And then my other neighbor, who's just about 20 minutes down, she also has another herd that I've been partnering with. So I partner with both herds. And it's so wonderful because they're totally in cahoots, the two. They know that when I have a client, if one herd is not the herd with the message for the client, the wisdom that is needed, then they will just kind of be out of commission. And so then I will partner with the second herd, which then everybody steps forward. It plays out exactly how it was meant to play out. And it's just so powerful. And I saw that when we did, like, I know that it was possible because of when we did our training together, and I saw how your herd stepped forward for the messages with for me and what I needed to hear in my life. So virtual this virtual work is so incredibly powerful. You don't need to be in close proximity to horses, and you don't even need to have experience with horses. I had like zero experience with horses before doing this work with you. And now when I step into this work and I partner with the horses, I feel like I've been with them my whole life. There's like no fear. There's just understanding and partnership and respect, which I just love so much.
This is such a game changer. And this is why I feel like this has been like your work with the herd, our work together, just kind of paved this whole new pathway. And I'm really excited about it. And I even find it difficult sometimes to like put into words what I'm trying to articulate, but
Me
I'm
too.
going to try my best. So
Yeah.
so Sara has very little to no like real time experience with horses. So this was also a huge sort of paradigm shift because most folks that come through the program have had some real time experience with horses. So they either live with horses, or they aspire to aspire to live with horses and share their lives with horses, or they have grown up with horses and are looking for a new way of being. Some of them have been injured on riding horses, so they decide I don't want to ride anymore. I'm looking for a new way to kind of work with my horses. So we've worked with folks from all different horse backgrounds, but not many that have really no horse background. So this was a huge leap of faith in so many different ways. So it was like, we're working with horses in New Zealand now. The herd here is partnering with herds there. I loved Sara when the second herd came through for you. Do you remember that during a training? I think it was day 3.
Day 3, yes. You were telling me, Sarah, I'm getting that there are more horses for you. And I was like, okay, does this mean like personally I'm gonna have some horses? Like, and you're like, I don't know, it's not really super clear, but all I'm getting is that you just got to be open to more horses coming into your life. And I'm so glad you said that, because my neighbor, who I told you lives about 20 minutes away, she had horses and she always told me, like, come meet them. But I've always been content with the herd next door. They're just much closer and I've just, bonded with them more. But one day I decided to go out and visit her and to meet her horses, because she told me I had this horse that's very sensitive to energy, like very intuitive. And I would love for you to meet him. So that kind of intrigued me. So I went, and he stepped forward into this work without me truly having the intention. Like, my intention was just to meet them and to be with them, but he was so intuitive, glued to me, like just very focused. And I could tell he was saying, like, I'm here for this. I'm totally here for this. And then your words just kind of went through my mind. I was like, this is what Fotini was saying. Yes, this is the second herd that I'm meant to partner with. And actually, the first herd that I work with, which is 3 lovely mares and one of them with foal. One day I went for a client for my practicum session. I went to go into the field with them to do my thing. And they were off to the side in a very small paddock because they were waiting for the farrier to arrive. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't work with them because I need them to be free ranging. And, like right now they can't. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I either have to cancel my session or I step into the second herd. Like, I bring this work to them and partner with the second herd who I don't really have a relationship with. And I just kind of felt into that. I was like, let's see what the herd wants from me. And I just intuitively felt that my herd that I partner with stepped down for this particular client because they were not the ones with the messages for her specifically. Because I know that there are no coincidences. So I was like, I'm gonna go with no expectations and be with the other herd and see. So I went, but I still went with the intention to be in this client's energy, and it just worked out perfectly. Like, they gave her in a way that the first herd couldn't.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was just, and so now I partner with both, and I kind of feel into, actually, I can't even say that I make the choice of which herd I work with.
Yeah.
My first herd makes the choice.
They make the
So my
choice.
3 mares will tell me, we're not the ones for you today.
Yeah.
And so then I, partner with the second herd, but
And isn't it amazing how, and I know we talked about this, and I know folks that are watching that have worked with me and the horses know this very clearly. When the horses are complete, like they're really clear about it. Like they're just kind of like they'll walk away, or there's a felt sense that it's complete. Like it's
yeah,
just the energy just kind of breaks off. It's just like, nope, like we've been happy to work with you and now we're complete and back to
yeah,
grazing, right? So I know some folks who maybe aren't as familiar with this work are probably like, whoa, like what are they even talking about right now? So essentially in this practice of equine guided wellness, horses, I mean, there's a ton of research now, thank goodness, and scientific evidence of what horses bring to our bodies, our minds, our brains, our spirits. So there's a whole bunch of evidence on that now available. But there is also this mystery, this spirituality behind it that, it's hard to make science of, but it makes sense. It makes sense because we feel it. This is what the horses have been asking for and waiting for humanity to realize. That like this goes so far beyond the fences. It is limitless, it's boundless, and it takes us to a whole nother dimension that is outside of the societies and the paradigms that have been these boxes in our lives. There are no boxes here. This is like no time, no space, just oneness.
Sometimes when I go with the intention to just be with the horses, they still step forward and show me things.
Fascinated by this work for many years, but this experience in particular, with you in New Zealand and the way the horses there have stepped forward for you, it's like there was nothing, there was no blocks. Like the path just unfolded seamlessly in front of you. What do you attribute that to? Like what this kind of opening, this connection, if you had something to share with folks about how to connect deeper with their own medicines and with their own connection with the sacred horse, like maybe there's some kind of parting words you could share.
Well, when you mentioned earlier that I was like a clean slate and that I really had no experience with horses and therefore could be like just open to everything. I think there was still lots of unlearning that I had to do about my own intuition, about my own gifts, my own healing that I had been through for years, but more intensely, I would say, over the past few months. So the reason I think that I was so receptive to this was because my heart was already healed immensely, and just so open to all that is, right? The universe, the fact that we're all one consciousness, that is really going to help you connect with the sacred horse on a deeper level, is when you have that understanding, that wisdom, when you and have discovered that truth, is that we're all connected, and the quantum field is like we're all tapped into it. There is no time, there's no distance, there's no past, there's no future, there's just the present moment, and we're all just tapped in. That really does help you to connect with not just yourself, but with others, with nature. The reason I'm able to do this work is because Fotini really allowed me to or encouraged me to tap into those gifts that I had, but I just didn't think that I had. Like if this work is calling to you, it's for a reason. The horse, the sacred horse, is calling to you to partner with you in this work, and Fotini is going to help you get there. So consider it, truly.
Sarah, that means so much to me. I have, like I said, have had the privilege to get to know you better through this program. And knowing your gifts and your wisdom and your medicine, and that you are now connected. I look at like the Avatar movie, when they connect the tail and the hair,
Yes.
like you've made that connection. And I just know that that is going to just the impact that you have already in your clients' lives. The fact that now you have this partnership, that if folks are called to taking that step to go deeper in their journey, that they are able to ask you if they can work with the horses. So, and then you could take that out to the herds. Sarah, thank you so much. I could just be here with you for hours.
I know.
We're used to that now, right? We spend
I
days
know.
on Zoom all day, every day. So great to be with you again. And I know that we'll be connecting again soon. And thank you
Yes,
everyone for joining us during this conversation.
exactly. Thank you.